I think a lot of people they want and they expect perfection, which is fine, but it's just like gives them like analysis paralysis sometimes. Like a lot of people don't start going into public speaking or into a podcast, or they don't post on social media because they're kind of afraid that people are going to criticize it.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Weapon X Holsters, quality handmade Kydex holsters made right here in Southern Utah. You can stop by the store, 1397 West Sunset Boulevard, number 115 in St. George, Utah. Hey guys, welcome back to the Derick podcast. We've got our resident guest back today. You now have the most episodes.
I think I'm the most frequent guest.
Yeah,
most
so we got
return.
Blake Norton. He and it's going to be cool because we're going to talk a little bit about some transitions that he's going through in Mallory and Blue Form and everything. So, I've always bragged about Mallory and Blake and Blue Form because really, like when we started all this, you guys were new, starting your own business.
Oh yeah,
taking the Derick Lake podcast on, and so I tell everyone, I'm like, it was cool because like I was keeping you accountable. You guys were keeping me accountable. I was betting that you were going to follow through. You were betting that I was going to follow through.
Yeah.
And now we're episode 102.
Dude, it's really crazy to think about, man.
Yeah.
Because like we got to shout out Jefferson Rogers too. He believed in us originally. I worked for him at the time, and so when Mallory decided to do some podcasting stuff, we did it for him originally.
Right.
And then you came along, and that's when Mal. She's always on the stick. If you've watched any of these episodes or any of our other clients, like she's producing every single podcast. She's doing everything. Like, and for you, she did every single thing.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about podcasting, it's a lot of work. It's like a full-time gig. That's why, you came to us and that's why it worked out. But
well, today Eric Gubler put a post up and he was like, man, I saw it today. Could have been yesterday. Yeah. He was like, dude, starting a podcast was a lot more than I thought it was going to be. I thought, in 30 days, I'm going to have stuff rolling.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm 8 or 9 months down the road or something like that. And I thought like trying to take that side on that you guys do. I mean, and that's why I didn't. That's why I messaged Mallory and said, I need you. Yeah. Like, do you know anyone else that does what you can do? And that's how this whole thing kind of got kicked off. But
you were like the perfect first client for us to have. Cause I was just in the background. Mal was operating the business. I was like advising the business because I had a full-time sales job. I was traveling a lot. And you were like the perfect client to have. Like you had just enough opinion and care about what we were doing to like have some input, but you weren't like breathing down our necks about us, pinching pennies. And like, you were very happy to pay us what we established. And like, dude, and it's cool, man. You're at 102. I mean, 102 episodes. This is your 101st recording because you split the 100th episode. It was so long. We split that into two. But dude, it's awesome. We were just talking about your book. You should hold that up for the camera.
So I went the first few episodes, and I've never been diagnosed, but like my ADD, ADHD, whatever it is, when someone's talking, and I've realized that a lot of people are this way. The more I've kind of talked about it. But when I'm talking to you, my mind's going so fast all the time, firing all these things off, that you'll say something and I'm like, oh, I want to say that. I want to, have something to say about that topic.
Add to it.
And instead of like cutting you off, I'll like wait until you're done, right? Like trying to make it so the viewers take it on the best they can. And so, it'd be 20 seconds later, you'd finish your thought. And I'm sitting here like, shit, what was I going to say? And I couldn't remember. Yeah. So my mom does these books, planners. She even has like coloring books on Amazon, like things like coloring books for kids and whatnot. And so she made me this planner. Well, it's like a podcast. It's
she made that? I thought she bought it.
Oh, no. She designed it and made it, man.
What?
So it's
dude,
like
hold that up.
Podcast planner, right?
You should sell those. We should sell them.
Well, and so her idea was like, give it to me, let me go through it and kind of like add to it, take some stuff out. Because to be honest, there's a lot of lines on here I don't even use.
Yeah.
But she was kind of just throwing stuff together to see. I mean, like one thing on here, it says like prizes and winners. So we thought we were going to do like a giveaway thing, you know, somewhat regularly. And then that we didn't end up doing that. Talking points, discuss like hosts, like on mine. I mean, I've done every episode, but like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And so
I think I filled in for you. We had like
you,
one,
Tyson
or somebody. There was one
Kurt
other
Campbell
Kurt
did
Campbell.
twice.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, host, that's just me. And so I was like, I don't really need that line.
Me again.
Yeah.
It's me again. Dear podcast diary. It's me again.
Exactly. And so I was telling her, I'm like, let me perfect this and then, you know, we'll throw it out there. And now I'm like, dude, we're 100 episodes in and I'm like barely giving her any feedback. I actually took this home. So I took it home to like show her. And then it sat in my car for like 3 weeks, and then I brought it back in. So I never even gave her feedback.
And now it's filled.
Yeah, and now
it's done.
I need one like next week.
Yeah, that's so cool, man. But you were saying, you just said it a minute ago. So Eric Gubler's been 9 months in. Who else do we know that's podcasting? I mean, Eric's not with Blueform, but
yeah, he's been on everything.
Yeah, he's been all around town, dude.
Yeah.
Dude's a excuse my
love
language,
Eric,
but
dude.
he's a fucking stud.
I love Eric.
I love that guy. He got us this house. Like he was our real estate guy.
That's right.
Yeah. So
well, and I had always heard about him, but well, like he was like a Snow Canyon kid. I was a Pine View kid, and I didn't really wander away from Pine View. Like I knew most of the people I went to school with, but I didn't know any other schools.
Yeah.
But I'd always heard about him, and now I live on this side of town, kind of like south of this side of town.
Yeah, you upgraded
And
a lot from Dogtown.
Yeah, good old D-town. And so I'd always heard about him, and I actually met him on Jefferson Rogers' podcast.
Oh, that's right.
So I was there. So I was so terrified to be on Jefferson's podcast that I was like, dude, can I just come sit in and see how it goes? Even though like what you do watching the episode is how it goes. Yeah. Like there's not anything any
There's
crazier
no
than
gimmicks,
this.
Yeah. Like
And
you're
so-
not timing it, you know. There's no script.
And so Eric was on that episode I sat in and watched. So that's where I met him. And I actually used to use him to move safes, and I'd never met him.
Oh, okay.
So when he had Kangaroo Moving, I think he
right.
still might have some position in it. I'm not sure, but
yeah, he's got a lot of cookie jars. He's got his hand in. He's a clever guy.
and I just knew there was an Eric Gubler guy, and I'd text him, and he'd have his guys come pick up a safe, and I never even met him.
Oh, right.
So it was kind of funny. Anyway,
Eric, if you're watching this, we still need to go shoot some guns, man. That was like, we said we'd do that when you got me in my house like 3 years ago.
it's time.
It's time. We're over too. That's my fault too. But
Dude, maybe that's what we should do, because we've tried to, well, I shouldn't say we. Mallory has tried to set up like
an event,
a Derick Leg podcast guest.
Yeah, like a Blueform clientele guest.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And last year we tried to do it right at the end of summer, and like the Hydro Tube Dixie High School pool, whatever that's called, the St. George pool.
Oh yeah.
Everything was booked out before they closed, so we didn't end up doing that. But maybe we should just go shooting.
We should,
because hell, that's like half my guests.
I know.
Anyway.
Everybody's. That's just the thing to do these days.
Plus, like you guys name everyone you guys are running. Every time I talk to people, I'm like, I don't know. They have like 7 or 10 or 14 other clients. But you guys are doing more than just like my form of podcast too.
We do some piecework for people, but podcasts, I think we totaled it up today. We are running 8 podcasts.
Dang, dude.
2 of them are with the same person. We have Cody Adent, who's also another stud out there. Like all of our clients are just awesome. But Emmanuel Zavaios and his wife Jess. We have Kevin and Alti Dapper from up north. They run. Sorry, let me back up. Emmanuel and Jess, they run the Heal the Healer podcast. They do a lot of emotion code, body code stuff. Then we have Kevin and Alti Dapper. They do similar things. They're kind of holistic healing as well. They're from up north, but they come down to the rental. They're actually coming over tomorrow to record. So then we have you.
And he looks like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, he does. But then he starts talking about heart math and like energies around your wall.
You're like waiting for him to bust a couple beers together and pour them on his face.
Yeah, exactly. Or like just hit you with the chair when you're not looking, Yeah, that's, but they're awesome. We love all of our clients. And then you got Jeff and Brandon, Jeff Fieldstead and Brandon Neal with Solid.
2 freaking studs.
Yeah, I'm actually wearing their hat because I was going to shout them out but it's Solid 30. Have you heard their little thing?
So explain it real quick.
Yeah, so Solid 30. I have it on my phone, actually.
Yeah, so I had Jeff and Brandon both on ours as separate episodes.
Yeah.
And I was just on Solid, and we posted theirs on our, I don't know, what do you call it, our podcast. But it was their episode, right? Mm-hmm. And, dude, every time I'm with those two guys, and I even text them later, I was all, dude, I need to be around you guys more. Dude, like, I freaking love you guys.
They're bleeding off on me, dude.
Like, I love them, dude.
I'm starting to look at, like, Crocs. And like I'm buying like, you know, Jeff Fieldstead style shorts. And like Jefferson Rogers knows too, but like everybody, I'm on the carnivore diet. Like my whole lifestyle's changed because Jeff and Brandon, you know, I'm like buying all sorts of guns.
It should,
and stuff.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's
not saying your old lifestyle's bad.
No, you got to surround yourself with those people, right? And if you're around the right people, it'll either bring you up or bring you down. Solid is awesome. They're really solid guys. That's why they called it Solid.
Well, and it's cool for me. I was just kind of filling time while you look at whatever you're looking at. But
it's just it's on my. I put it as my screensaver.
Oh, so it's there. You don't even have to search it.
Front of mind, yeah.
Go ahead.
But the Solid 30, it's kind of like a precursor. If you're looking to get into like big lifestyle changes, right? You want to go into a 75 hard, or I don't know, you want to do big things with your life and business and stuff. This Solid 30 is meant to be like their first iteration of it. Then they're going to do a Solid 60 and so on. They're going to grow it. But it's more centered around like balance across the entire board, not just physical. So it's faith, family, fitness, finance, and friends. So the faith aspect of it is you're praying and reading scripture. It could be of any religion that you're a part of. They are Christian, obviously, and that's where their emphasis is. But you know, I read a little bit in the Quran the other day. I've been reading in the Bible and Proverbs, just to read like holy writing.
Right. As I was gonna say, we're in Utah, so it's a heavy LDS. We're not saying the Book of Mormon and all that. It's just read something that's
on my list
religion.
Too. Like I like the war chapters of the Book of Mormon, even though I'm not active. I always tell my family, like I left the church. I never left the gospel part of that. I still identify as Christian for sure. I don't know if I'm Mormon, but yeah, Mormons are all right. Like Book of Mormon is awesome. I think the war chapters in that book are just, they're really good. It's almost like on the same level of like The Art of War with like Sun Tzu, that ancient Chinese book. I guess it's ancient, but The Art of War by Sun Tzu is awesome. But that's kind of what I hope to glean from the Book of Mormon war chapters, but that's on the circuit. So that's just one aspect. You pray, and then you're reading your scriptures for 10 minutes. Family is you just go out of your way to serve someone in your family how they would like to be served. So you put a little thought into it and everything like that. And then the friends aspect, I'll jump to that since it's on that page there. But the friends, you reach out to somebody outside of social media. So like a meaningful interaction over phone, like or like a meaningful text message, and like getting a response back is part of that. So you're having a conversation, or like a letter or a card. So you're thinking about somebody else, a friend. And I've been reaching out to some good old boys, some homies, some Marines I haven't spoke to for a while. So that's been cool. And then the fitness aspect is a 45-minute workout and a 2-minute cold plunge or shower if you don't have a cold plunge. And then like part of the fitness is like a mental fitness. So you do like read a self-help book for like 10, 15 minutes. So that's basically it. Faith, family, fitness, finances. Oh, finances I skipped. But yeah, save or invest 10% of your income, so your earning. So that's the Solid 30. That's why I flipped my hat around. These guys are dope because it is the Solid 30 month. So I'm kind of wearing this hat to support them. But
yeah, there's a handful of people that have been on mine that I'm like, dude, you've got to start a podcast. Like those two dudes. I'm like, I'm just a bro. Like we were just joking about this before we got on. I'm just a dude from D-Town, right? Like I don't feel like there's a whole lot of things special about me. I've worked really hard, but like as far as what society would say is like a very smart person or any, like I'm not that guy. And when I see these guys, Brandon and Jeff, the solid guys, was referred to them as the solid guys.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you guys need to do this because people need to be exposed to you. Like they need to be able to learn from you, be around you, and having the podcast gives that connection without them spending 24 hours a day interacting with people.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
And they used to do that a lot with their financial business that they built. They'd be on stage in front of people and doing a lot of coaching. And so it's like it just naturally lines out for them. But here's the misconception too about podcasting is that people think that you need to be someone special. But like the human experience, like you don't have to be special in some weird way. You don't have to be like super unique to just have good conversation. And I think in today's day and age, like everybody's just craving like authentic, organic conversation because it's just not afforded to us. Everything we watch on TV or the news is scripted. Mm-hmm. Everything on social media is like really short and disingenuous.
Well, I think it's a step past scripted. I think it's meant to like manipulate us.
Yeah.
Like everything is clickbait. It's meant to send you down a certain road. Like we were talking before. So I hadn't eaten. So these guys got me some Mo Bettas. Shout out Mo Bettas. Yeah. And we hurry and like just shoved it down our faces in like 5 minutes. And that's something we kind of brought up was, dude, I couldn't do a social media manager stuff because I just get caught on social media scrolling for half hour.
Yeah.
and it's because all that stuff is like, the algorithm is there. Everything's there to get us sucked into it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We do this for a living and everyone thinks they like want to know about, they know about the algorithm. And like, I don't know if anybody really can. It's like the algorithm is just this like elusive thing. I think you can get pretty close to it or understand it more, but they forget to bring up to the fact that everybody's algorithm is completely different.
Right.
You know, you can really be in an isolated bubble. We've talked about this too, when I was talking about conspiracies a while ago on your podcast, on your show. And it's just like you can have your own isolated reality based on the media you consume.
Sure.
And whatever social media feeds you. Because if you're obsessed with hang gliding and like base jumping, that's all you're going to see in your feed. You know, if you're obsessed with, you know, activism and trans rights and all this stuff, that's all you're going to see. You're never going to have anything brush up against your conscience that's like not agreeable with you. And if you are, then you're going to spit off some fire on a comment, you know? So
I was going to say, if you are, it's usually, like for me, like everything on mine is like pro Second Amendment, podcasts, talking, but I always get like the Ben Shapiro stuff. And so I do get the other side of that, but it's usually Ben Shapiro or someone else making fun of it. Or not even making fun of it, but just like pointing out why he thinks it's wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then you're just getting taught even more that you're right and what you believe is right.
Yes.
And I don't know what that is on the other side of the aisle, you know?
And it's really hard because there's so much division and it's so easy to divide and isolate now. And feel like you're connected because it's like, that's what it's designed to do. I mean, the scrolling on your phone and everything, it just activates the dopamine. You just get dopamine from that, right? That's like a whole another topic we could dive into.
Well, I want to bring us back home. Let me bring us back home real quick because I want to finish this thought and I want to give you guys not even just give you kudos, but just give you time to talk about it and realize, you know, to be inside of what you guys have created. So, let me bring us back to Blue Form. So one of these days we're going to get Mallory on.
I think so.
I was waiting for her to laugh in the other room, but
if you want me to barf on camera.
Yeah. So
I think that would go viral.
Yeah. So Mallory and Blake, Blue Form Media. Mallory has killed it we're at 2 years right now. And it's kind of forced you to make some changes. So talk to me about that a little bit.
Oh yeah. Well, we kind of stumbled on to podcasting, I guess. I used to stream video games on twitch.com just as a hobby. And you just learn a lot about computers and what's available out there. And when Jefferson, my boss, was talking about starting a podcast and Mallory had just quit her job and was available, it all worked out. I was making a lot of money in sales, and so she could quit. And then he expressed the need for a podcast. And Mallory also has a background, I think a technical degree in audio engineering.
Right.
So sitting with mixing and being in studios and stuff is kind of what she did internships for and everything. That's what she was going to pursue. In fact, she almost left me because she felt a conflict of like wanting to live her dream and like settling down in a relationship just wasn't lining up. And so she was like conflicted, and she's like, I think I got to leave you. And I chased her down in her car in the pouring rain. It was like The Notebook, basically.
It's like a Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was a romance. But I chased her down, and she was like in her car about to leave. And I'm just kind of like, okay, trying to be respectful. And it just kind of hit me out of the blue. And I didn't know she was that conflicted. So we started talking about it. And I was like, I didn't know like you were that serious about it. I thought that was just kind of your hobby. And I convinced her to stay because I was like, I guarantee you, this is where this all started, by the way.
See, I have not heard this story.
Yeah,
So
this is where it all started. And this was up in Utah, Lehi, Utah, when we lived up there before we moved down, and we just started dating. And I said, I promise you, if you stick with me, like I said, it is in a nutshell. I'm like, if you stick with me, I'm like, we can use, your dream will come true just in a different way. You don't have to go to Hollywood or LA or like Vegas to go, slave and sweat and bleed into like a studio and sleep on a couch to like be a part of production and to be a part of stuff like that. Like we can kind of do it on our own terms. Plus the industry is kind of shady, especially if you're a cute girl like Mal. You never know how Hollywood, and everyone's probably heard the stories of, if you want to progress in a career, you got to
get all Harvey Weinstein on people.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein, like just weird creeps like that. Plus the environment for drugs. And me being a good salesman, I talked her out of it.
That proved it right there.
So fast forward, I think like a year and a half, we had moved down here, and she quit her job, and then she started Jefferson Rogers podcast, and then we migrated over to you, and she invested in this studio, and we run most of our podcasts out of this studio. Like all this stuff behind us is modular. If you haven't noticed that, or if you didn't know that, the TV, we just been making additions, but it was Mal's initial investment. She put her life savings into this company.
About 90% of her savings into it, right?
And I was like her tech department. So I just took the video game knowledge I had from streaming on Twitch of all places. And then you can actually use that same stuff, the same technique to do podcasts. And it actually saves us probably 6 to 8 hours on the back end for editing. And so we've met with some other companies. We've met with people that are doing, our peers, right, that we're trying to mastermind with or trying to get, mentorship from. And there was a point in the conversation we're talking with these people, and they're like, wait, how do you guys do this much? And I was like, we just do this. We didn't get into the details, but I was like, yeah, these are the things we do. And they're like, well, how do you do that? Like, you guys are like, you're editing so much. And then it clicked on me. It dawned on me. I was like, oh, they don't know the techniques we know.
Right.
Like we're using free available softwares to everybody. We're using all these techniques that you have to research to know. And that's what I did. I researched, like, it took me probably 8 to 10 months to even set up, because I was in a shitty job. I was working at Jimmy John's. Just getting back from another divorce in my life. I mean, that's a whole nother story, but I was just in a really bad way, and I wanted to start video game streaming. So it took me like 8 months to save my money for a high-end video game computer that could handle the graphics load for all this stuff and do a live stream. So instead of live streaming a podcast, we just live produce a podcast. And like Mal's over there switching camera angles. Like as soon as I point it, she'll switch. Ready?
Right.
Now
it's on me.
Oh, I was early. No,
timing was off. So that's what we do with all of our clients. So we do a lot of the post-production live. So it's happening now. And that enables us to lower our prices, like so low. And so when we stepped onto the scene, and a lot of the people we talked to, they're like, you guys are getting robbed. You should be charging $4,000 to $5,000 per episode. We're like, what? That's I can't say the R word, but that's redundant.
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. That's retardant, flame resistant, right? So anyway, it's kind of unique. It just kind of worked together. And these aren't like proprietary secrets that we're hiding. They're available. These techniques are out there, but nobody in the podcast game is really doing it unless they're at really high level and they have like, TV studio level production equipment. And we're able to do it on a budget, and it's the quality's there, everything's there. It's quite phenomenal, actually. We're really proud of it. And to make this service affordable, so, you know, a normal guy from Dogtown can get 102 episodes under his belt.
I'm glad my wife's rich.
Yeah.
You know, so I can do it.
Whatever. No, you're a hustler, dude. You're a hustler, too. So that's where we got started. But now we've just kept growing because there's a need. I think there's like a content funnel that people are realizing that you need. If you want to grow a following, if you want to grow a brand and eventually monetize it, you know, around a product or something, like you need consistent content. And if you look at it like a pyramid, right? Everyone's trying to build the pyramid from the top down. Like, how can I put content on social media? That's so time consuming, and it's like a one-time thing. You know, if you were just like, hey, come to, you know, Southern Utah Safe and Vault, like you would have to do that twice a day, every day, all the time. And like then be trendy and be all these things. And so people are trying to build this pyramid from the top down. But if you run a podcast, podcasts are king of content. You have 45 minutes or an hour of long form content that can then be diced up into small reels, probably like the reel you're watching right now, because this is going to be a reel. That's how you get it out. And so you build that foundation. That's the foundation of the pyramid. Then you have like more digestible content, like maybe a 10-minute YouTube video and a blog or something else. And then you have the tip of the pyramid, which is the short form, like your YouTube clips and all the stuff that some of your clips have hit the millions.
Yeah.
You know, and that equals it, not the same as it once did because they change how they pay out, but some of those social media, that equals monetization. And so we've been able to get, you know, a good stream of regular offsets for your costs just from social media, which is really cool. But anyway, that's how we started. And that's kind of where the traction has just started to catch. And so, yeah, I was able to leave JKR Windows in town and doing all like my normal sales job because of guys like you know, that are supporting us, that want a podcast, that want to put a message out there or whatever. And it's really humbling, man. It's been awesome. It's like we're doing this, you know, we burned the ships.
Right.
You know, we're all in now. So,
you know, something I think's cool. Like I talk about the network that I've built around the podcast, right? I mean, we've had 102, we've had some repeats. I don't know, call it 85, like 85 different people on.
I'd say like 90.
Yeah, probably 90. We haven't had that many repeats, but like the network I've built around it. And then what Mallory was just saying, that, so I'm in Vodacy, Sean Moore runs all that.
Short-term rentals, right?
Yeah, short-term rental. It's like a coaching. It is coaching, and it has every aspect of it. I mean, even now they have it to where they like pre-vet properties. So they're even like pre-vetting properties to where they'll like
for you to purchase,
for us to purchase.
Wow.
Yeah. So it didn't have that in the beginning, and I was like, man, that would be the gold. But to keep up on that, I mean, that'd be like 3 people's full-time job.
Right.
Like I was talking to Jacob that actually does that in Vegas over the weekend. They had a big meetup down there. And I was like, dude, I don't know how you do it all. Because like me just trying to find one property is hard. And you've got like a spreadsheet of them.
Right.
And then he has to keep up if they're still there or sold or, you know, if they're even active. Yeah.
Tracking inspections and like all sorts of.
Yeah. And some of it's like you need to do your due diligence as well. Right. But this is by the numbers, this all checks out.
Yeah. Basically. They're probably doing what, like 80% of the work for you, 85?
A lot. Yeah.
Before you purchase it.
Right.
And then you kind of do a lot.
Well, and dude, like if you think about it, where do you even buy one? Like I thought it'd be easy to be like, well, shit, we want to go to Florida.
You just like spin the globe.
Like, right. And we're not even talking the US. Like you can do this in Europe. Totally. You can do it in South America. Like, so anyway, rabbit hole. So Sean Moore came and was on my podcast. He's the founder of Vodacy. Yeah. And then after that, they got with you guys on just doing some of the editing stuff. So not even like the full-fledged podcast that we do, but they run all the editing. So back to my point, I think it's cool how like you, Mallory, even some of the people that help you guys out, like they're getting this like huge knowledge base just by sitting in. Like,
oh, us? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
like the huge benefit from you guys.
Oh my gosh.
And like, it's a lot of work. Sure. I mean,
It's like free coaching.
Yeah, like I paid thousands and thousands of dollars to be in Vodacy.
Yeah,
and now you guys are just looking
paid.
at all. Yeah, you're
We're
getting paid to consume
their content. Yeah. It's kind of a life hack. If you're interested in like running podcasts for other people, like I'd say anybody listening could reach out to us. We'd have opportunities for you. But yeah, we basically get paid to hear from you, to learn from you and your businesses and everything you've done. And then like Jeff and Brandon or Jefferson Rogers or all your guests as well.
That's
like
what I was going to say.
Gubler's been on, all these guys we've been talking about. And then Sean Moore with Vodacy as well. Yeah, we're just getting free coaching in exchange for us doing their services. I guess they're paying us, so it's not free, but like we're not paying.
But it's cool. I'm just saying, like, it's an added thing for you guys, and it was something that I wasn't counting on. Like, I was just honestly, I was trying to do this. Hopefully, that we help one person through the 102 episodes. That was the whole reason we started doing it. I think
you've helped a lot more than one.
Like, dude, I hope so. And I know there's been a couple because I've had people reach out to me. And so like, I know that we've already satisfied that. Yeah. But to think of everything else that's come to my life because of the podcast is, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. Like elaborate on that. Like what?
Yeah, dude.
You've gotten way more articulate and better at speaking. So you've actually done some public speaking.
Yeah. So yeah, talking in front of people terrifies me. So this was like a medium to kind of break that a little bit.
Yeah, to get good.
And that was another reason why I wanted to do it, just to push my boundaries a little. And then I've talked about it on here a few times. I've talked in a few high schools, which I don't know why, dude. I don't know why high schools.
Yeah.
Like I hated high school when I was there. I couldn't wait to be done with it.
Do you think it's like a stepping stone? So if you're like, I can talk in a high school, then I could talk at a college.
I think it is now.
College, maybe you could talk at like a
business forum, whatever, like
a seminar
or
whatever.
I think I didn't think that going into it, but I believe that now.
Yeah, it's like okay, I can do that.
Yeah,
it's like that. You're just constantly. We've seen you just constantly improve, like as a person, as an individual, because we've been working with you. We see you once a week for 2 years,
right?
Sometimes more if we're stacking up episodes, right? So. It's been really cool to see. And thanks for having me talking about this. Not many people ask about Blue Forum, but we're kind of in the shadows behind a lot of productions. That's kind of how we like it, but it is nice to get so a lot of growth has been happening and we're excited about it. And you're at 102 episodes, dude. Like,
well, and for like, again, dude, for you, I just want to, and I wasn't planning on this being a whole episode about you guys, but like, one, I want to thank you guys for sticking with me. Two, it's always been positive.
Thanks,
like whether Mallory means it or not, she's always like, and you just said it, you were the perfect first client, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've always been like, I don't know your guys' world, so go. Like, I'll have input maybe 2 or 3 times in a year, but for the most part, I'm like, it's your world, man. You run it.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. You know, because I think a lot of people, they like to micromanage, and even some of our clients like to do that, and we're totally okay with that. It's not a deal breaker.
Yeah, it's their brand, sure.
It's their brand. It's absolutely. There is a point where we have to like pump the brakes. We're like, okay, you know.
I hear you.
You know, we'll make a mistake or something, which happens in production, you know, or they want something changed, and they're like, oh, I wish this title was this way, and they're like, can we take that down? And we're like, well, you already have 50,000 views. So no,
yeah,
like we'll do it. We'll fix it on the next one because it's all about just consistently putting that content out. But I think a lot of people they want and they expect perfection, which is fine, but it's just like gives them like analysis paralysis sometimes. Like a lot of people don't start going into public speaking or into a podcast, or they don't post on social media because they're kind of afraid that people are going to criticize it. And so the clients that we have now are awesome. Every one of them's taken the leap into the podcast realm. And it's, as you know, it's not like a light commitment. It's not like you did 4 episodes and you're like Joe Rogan #2.
Right.
You know, so it's 2 years in and we still got a long way to go. So it's like, we want a consistent person who understands like that these guys are pros or they're learning to be pros in an area. Like, you just got out of our way and let us do what we did. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. So thanks for being here, Blake.
Thanks, man. It's a quick one. I know we were both short on time today.
Yeah, dude. I think we'll just wrap it up right now if you're good with that. But
Yeah, I appreciate you calling us out, man. I mean, it's cool. I'm just drinking some whiskey, hanging out. What's cool though is like I'm just hanging out with a buddy.
Right.
Like we've become good friends. You know?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was going to say too. Is
we were at your birthday party.
You guys came over to the house for the birthday party, man. Yeah, just I don't even like to call it a network anymore because it's like a friend group, right?
It's like a friend work.
So like when I would see like the real business owners, like we'll use them. So I mean they've been doing it for 3 or 4 years.
Oh yeah, we got to tip the hat to them. Like they've both been on here, I think.
Yeah, but I think they kind of made it look possible. Is that a good way to say it?
I think they were. I don't know. I think they were like one of the first more consistent, bigger podcasts in St. George.
Well, I was going to say St. George, but they were just one of the consistent podcasts, period, that had to do with business.
Right.
But to see like, I mean, like I knew of those guys or knew those guys growing up. And so like to see that it was possible was a cool thing. So like, yeah, I want to shout out Trevor and Kale too.
Yeah.
I mean, they were both my brother's ages. And so like, I kind of knew them, or I knew who they were. Now I'm saying a lot because I'm trying to think of where I want to go with this, but couple thoughts that I had. So for me, the podcast was pushing the needle of how comfortable I was being in front of people. I think you always need to be pushing yourself. I think you have to monitor a little bit. There's definitely been a few times in my life, even the last few years, and I've talked about it a few times where like, I think I was pushing that needle a little too far. And luckily I've got my wife there that can be a rock when I'm sitting in bed, worrying about my life.
Yeah.
And, but I think you have to push that. I mean, if I don't understand people that don't consistently try to get better.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And it could even be waking up 5 minutes earlier or doing a little more work or, I mean, I don't know. It can be as minimal as you want it to be, or it can be starting a podcast one day randomly out of the blue, right? Yeah. Like it can be as far as that you want that needle to go. But I talk to people all the time and they're like, well, I guess that what I'm trying to say is I've just had to accept that not everyone's like that. Does that make sense?
No, totally. Me and Mal talk about this all the time. It's like, and Dana White from the UFC says it best, actually, I think. He's like, if you're even remotely savage, like out to get it kind of thing, if you're even remotely a savage, he's like, you'll just not dominate these bitches, right?
Yeah.
Like, he says something a little more derogatory. But
yeah, about this generation is what he talks
this
about.
Generation. Yeah. If you're even remotely savage, like you'll just dominate.
Yeah.
And if you look at like our society, like not a lot of people do manual labor for themselves, like for their own homestead or for their own land. And the people that do manual labor, they get a lot of satisfaction from it. I've done it myself. You've done it yourself. But we just medicate everything. Goes back to the dopamine we were talking about, scrolling. Like we get dopamine from everything. And like one of the biggest changes I've made in the last this year in 2023 was just monitoring how I medicate myself with my dopamine, how I justify. I don't eat to live. Like I'm living to eat. I was living to eat. And Jeff Fieldstead actually told that to me after a podcast here. He was on Alex Cornwall's podcast. I got to shout out Alex too. He's been on yours as well. He's rebranding right now. He's coming back.
Oh, cool.
With full force. So shout out to Alex. But we were chatting and he's like, everybody's just living in order to eat. Like that's why we live. But I'm like, if you just eat in order to live your life, then it's like way better. And I started just analyzing that. I was like, oh my gosh. Like I don't eat for nourishment. I just eat to get dopamine. I'm on the road. I'm on a sales trip. It's high octane. It's stress. You got to perform. And if I have a break, I would go grab a shake or a burger or, gas station burrito. And it was like, it's dopamine. It's like a reward. And I'm not eating because I need it. I'm like, I was overweight. I'm like, I'm just blubbing around. I'm like, I don't need this food. I'm medicating. Everything we do, like if we go, you could be doing something else, but you like, okay, I worked hard today and now I really just need to medicate myself with some dopamine. Fill in the blank. It could be video games.
There's some ice cream right there.
It could be ice cream. It could be food. It could be liquor. It could be anything. And it could be Netflix, it could be anything. So people just justify like, oh, I worked an 8-hour shift. Now I'm just going to go stare at a screen. And I love doing that. I like playing video games. But you have to recognize that it's like, dude, this is, how do I get the dopamine the hard way? How do I get rewarded the hard way first? You know, it's like everything about us. So that society is like, nobody gets their dopamine the hard way anymore. And so like, if you can get dopamine so easily, now your job that's supposed to be satisfactory or doing a good job at work or going the extra mile, it's not appealing if I can go scroll through a phone or look at porn or play a video game and get all the dopamine I need. We're just doped out all the time. And so like nobody wants to go the extra mile because I can just go over here and like I can sip on this and get my dopamine that way. But that's kind
interesting.
Of the point.
I've never looked at it that way.
I started teaching my sales team that this last quarter. So here we are in quarter 2, right? So quarter 1, I just left JKR Windows about a month and a half ago. Actually, maybe 2 months now. Yeah, about a month and a half. It goes fast. And I miss those guys. Great sales team. JKR Windows, probably one of the best places in the state of Utah to go learn about sales. Go hit them up if you guys need a job or you want to change your life. Like those guys, like, I don't know, being around Jefferson Rogers, being around Jared Everett, who's like his second-hand man, is his right-hand man.
He's been on here too.
Yeah, that's right. Jared Everett was on here.
Yeah, when you hosted for me.
That's right. Oh, yeah, I interviewed him.
Yeah.
That's right. We're starting a podcast soon, me and him.
Nice.
Yeah. He's got a lot of wisdom to give.
He does, dude.
So his name, you'll see him. He'll be a popular podcast name here in a little bit.
I know, dude. All these podcasts are going to end up passing me up, and I'm just going to be like the little guy that no one watches anymore.
You got a head start on the consistency. Yeah. Just like real business owners has a head start on you. Like they've just been consistent.
They're like, why would I listen to Derick when I can listen to Solid?
You could have all the talent in the world. No, it's different things. You know, different strokes for different folks. But the more important thing is consistency, as anything in life. You know, you could be the fastest runner in the world, but that marathon runner is going to pass you up. Like Usain Bolt wouldn't last in a marathon, right?
Right.
He's a sprinter. So, but that's podcast is not a sprint. I was coming to a point there.
Sorry,
JKR.
I kept messing you up.
Oh, you're good. But I was with them, and that like tripled almost my sales productivity with that team. As I started taking away and telling them, of course, like, hey, this is what we're going to do. Do you guys agree to this? We're going to get our dopamine the hard way. So we got them to stop vaping. We go on these sales trips. It's like no more video games because they would bring their like Xbox and stuff. And at first I was like, hey, go be an adult. Like, I trust you. You can be an adult, come home and unwind, sure. But it got to a point where I was like, no, because you're getting easier dopamine than your job, right? You should be getting dopamine from being a door-to-door salesman and being, lining your pockets with $5,000 a week, because that's what some of our guys were doing at an entry-level position, $5,000 a week. And once we took away the easy dopamine with their agreement, no more vapes, no more alcohol, no more nothing like this. Just come here and be a sales monk, shave your head, wear a brown robe, just get up in the morning and ring that church bell, right? Sing in Latin and all that shit. And so the sales team I had, we had a 3-man team. It was just me and 2 guys for a while. We added a 3rd or a 4th man. So we were doing, 300,000 a week. A little bit less. It was like 180, 200,000 for the window industry. That's a really good week, and so those guys.
Pretty good week in a lot of industries.
Yeah. So every week we'd go out. It's just crazy, man. So like we're all doped out of our minds. So of course, anybody that doesn't understand that concept and they wonder why they can't get anything done, it's because you're rewarding yourself with all the medication that our society offers you. Social media is a medication. The movies, everything. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy those things. Like I love a good scotch and whiskey, and then also a cigar, but I don't do it every day.
Right.
I don't try to escape. So if you stop escaping, is my point. If you stop escaping your life and chasing that easy dopamine to get away from something, it just totally changes everything.
Well, I think that's the title right there, but we'll wrap it up because you got like 2 minutes. So
I do, yeah.
I'm glad we went down that road though, dude, because I think
yeah.
we named this Dopamine the Hard Way. I wrote that down. So But I like that, dude. Push yourself a little.
Oh yeah, and that comes from like Huberman and like all these names that have been on podcasts. That kind of helped me come to that. So I wish I could have that. I wish that was an original thought, but I don't think those.
Well,
really
it is on
exist.
my podcast.
Yeah, it's original Derick Lake podcast.
Okay, man. Thanks for taking some time. Thanks
Yeah.
for kind of jumping in. We didn't. I've been slammed. So you guys actually stopped by the store and was like, "What are we doing this week?"
Yeah,
And then you were like, "Friday."
oh,
I'm there.
We take it's about a 50-50. I think it's about a 55% responsibility for you, and we take about the other 50 or 45. So we split it because like you have to own it, but we definitely can light a fire under you. But we got to be consistent. And there's times where you're like, we have to make this happen. So it goes both ways.
Both ways.
Yeah.
Well, lining up guests, like that's what's cool too. Is a lot of these people I met them here.
Yeah, first time.
Like, yeah, I didn't know them before I walked. Half the time I walked up to the door and they were standing there and I'm like, "What's up? I'm Derick."
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so you guys line up a lot of the guests. I line up some of the guests, or I have an idea if I want to try and plug someone in, but I don't know.
Recently, people have been like reaching out,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Which is
They're
way
like,
cool.
I want to get on there. That's
But
awesome.
anyway, wrap it up. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being with us. Thanks, Blue Form. Thanks, Mal. Thanks, Blake. Thanks for believing in me. Appreciate you guys.